What do you want to do?
I don't know. We don't have an intro.
Welcome back to the Glacier
Gamble Podcast.
Emphasize the first letter of each word.
Welcome back to the Glacier Gamble Podcast. Welcome everybody to the Glacier Gamble Podcast, episode 39, one away from 40, getting close to Joe's Vegas trip, getting close to my birthday. We're just moving along here. This is our sports section. We got a ton of stuff. All these free agency signings are happening. People are releasing their stars, like Za'Darius Smith is going away from the Packers, and then he's going to the Ravens. Psych, not going to the Ravens. Baker Mayfield wants out. Deshaun Watson's potentially getting signed somewhere. Atlanta? ? We got some other big name free agent signings like Schlottman for the Vikings, major signings. The Bills are doing stuff, and the Jags are spending a whole bunch of money, and one of those players excites me. We got a lot of stuff to go through. We got some basketball talk too, so while we're on that topic, let's start with basketball. First thing, Karl Anthony Towns, one of 5 NBA centers in NBA history to drop 60 points or more. We've mentioned before on the podcast, he's the best shooting big man of all time. I will stick by that statement. Yeah. He's still the best shooting big man. I don't think he's the best scorer of all time for big men. I'll still take Shaq.
Yeah.
I'll still take Shaq.
Yeah.
Especially prime Shaq.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to we've done this before, whenever there's things on Twitter and it's which 5 wins, and it just takes legends from different eras.
Yeah.
I just picked the one with Shaq.
But yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, absolutely phenomenal. On the anniversary of his mother's death due to COVID, scored 60 points, dedicated it to her, talked about it on Twitter.
He had 56 at the end of the third.
Yeah, he scored 4 in the fourth.
At that point, he didn't really need to come out there.
They just wanted him to hit 60.
Yeah, and then Chris Finch put him back in, and he's like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "Go hit 60."
Yeah. I mean, that's the exact sort of thing they wanted the coach to do. I think it was Childress at the time with Adrian Peterson. Let him hit 300. Let him hit 300 in the game. It was let him break the single season record.
Yeah, 9 yards away.
Right. They multiple times where they were so close, just let them do it. They have the ability to. You sacrifice some integrity to do it. Just do it. And then you listen to Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson still tops crap about Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Because saying he couldn't beat his record. It's well, he could have.
Yeah, and JJ doing Moss's thing,
Yeah.
They could have 18 yards or something like that.
Just let it happen.
Yeah.
All these old school coaches I don't want to make my players happy. They need to make me happy. Let's keep it with the Wolves. They just beat the Lakers. We are recording this on St. Patrick's Day. That's why we're both in our green. Yeah, they beat the Lakers. What did we say? We said on last week's episode, when we get to the Lakers, that's a free win.
Yeah.
At one point they were up 26 and they brought it within 4, and then they ran away with it again. During the game, there's a couple plays I want to highlight. There's one, Russell Westbrook airballed it, missed the basket by 3 feet. Cat passed it and just let go of the ball. He passed the ball and then he
handed the ball off and was like, how is that possible?
Right, yeah, and that's the thing. And they were did the wind take it? Did the ghost of some player just come by and was nope, swat it? What happened? And that's what the highlight tape of this year's missed shots by Russell Westbrook. I was watching it today. I like Russ. Some
bad ones.
Yeah, I like Russ. I love the way he plays. Too. I love his energy, but my goodness, he should just play like Allen Iverson. Take your open shots that are wide open, but your primary goal should be drive to the rim and work on your free throws.
Yeah.
Work on your finishing at the hoop, because that's one of the reasons why he's not doing so well is he's never been a great finisher.
Yeah.
But some of these missed shots were brick, when he's on the left side, extended left elbow wing. Shot, left wing, and he tries to do his bank shot and it banks off the top of the backboard or the opposite side of the backboard, over the rim on the opposite side.
Yeah, I've seen him shoot a mid-range jumper and it hits the top of the backboard and goes behind it.
What about that crazy floater he airballed?
Yeah.
He went a floater and he shorted it.
Yeah, there's some of them that it's just what are you doing, man?
As somebody who, when I played basketball, had issues with control sometimes, sometimes I would, go for a layup and it would just bounce straight off the backboard because I was going too fast. No control. Like, I understand sometimes you don't understand your own strength, especially if you played other sports, that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure Russ played football, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Like, you don't always have control of your strength, but at this point in your career, don't you know, like, his free throw form looks different. His shooting form looks like it's changed. I don't know if it's due to injuries or what, but it's like he's not learning. Yeah. So Pat Bev walks over to the Lakers bench. He's like, plugs his nose. And he's like, he's garbage. He's garbage. He's trash. Like, he's not talking about the Lakers being trash. He's not talking about like he's talking Russell Westbrook is trash. And yes, those two have always hated each other.
Russ tried to clap back. And Russ said that it doesn't bother me.
He said those guys have done nothing over there. So
done anything. So I looked up Russ championship rings. Russell Westbrook does not have any championships in his career. So it looks like Russ hasn't really done anything either. You can say all the accolades, like sure, MVP,
averaging a triple double to the point where triple doubles don't mean anything to people anymore.
I mean, Cat's made all-stars. Accolades don't mean anything if you don't have the championship. If that's what.
Well, that was Pat Bev's clap back to the clap back. Is this an individual sport or a team sport? I've gone to the 2 Western Conference Finals. 2. Yeah. It's just he cares about his team. Yeah, well, that's been the claim all year, is that Russ is for all about Russ. Which, I mean, he plays with energy. He plays hard, and I've defended. There are players in all sports that I defend even when others have given up on them. There's players I've given up on when I shouldn't have, but Russ is one of those guys, like, I root for him, but he needs to go to a shooting coach, but he's too proud to go to a shooting coach. He needs to learn to tone it back, maybe slow down and dish the ball more, pass more. If he's too proud to do that.
I watching a little bit of that game yesterday, and we were up by 26. They went on like a 11-3 run, so it got down to like, in the stretch I was watching, it got down to like 15 or something, or like 15 or 12 or something like that. And I was like, this Lakers team, there's no like offensive system identity. It is ugly.
Oh yeah.
They just pass the ball to LeBron and then just kind of like run around.
They have 2 guys that average 25 minutes or more a night that were cut by previous teams this year. I still wouldn't want to play LeBron in the playoffs. I just don't want to go against LeBron in 7-game series. I'm just not scared of them.
No, I mean, yeah, you don't want playoff LeBron as something different, but the Wolves are officially guaranteed, with that win over the Lakers, they're officially guaranteed a play-in spot. So no matter what, we're going to get some type of playoff atmosphere, whether it's a 1-game play-in.
Well, just like we mentioned, hard to catch the Mavs and Nuggets.
Yeah, well, actually, it's easier to catch the Nuggets. Nuggets are 1.5 back from the Nuggets, and we do play them.
The Warriors' odds to make it to the finals just skyrocketed. I don't know what happened.
Probably like Clay's 38-point night or something.
I
wasn't doing like amazing. I don't know.
But their odds went way up, and I was like, don't get it.
Yeah, we definitely can catch the Nuggets. We definitely can catch the Nuggets, and that's the goal, is to get to 6. But now Utah's falling. Like, the Mavs went past Utah, so shit, we can definitely beat Utah. So
yeah, we've proven we can beat Utah.
Yeah,
we've proven we can beat most of these top teams. We just we don't. I feel like we haven't played the Suns lately.
Yeah, we played them at the beginning of the season, and we only lost to them by like 3 points or something. So.
Right. So I like I've said, I don't think there's a single team in the Western Conference that has a distinct advantage over whatever team they play against. Yeah. Every series has a chance to go 7 games.
Yeah.
And then every series has the chance to get swept. Like, it is the Western Conference, you don't know what's going to happen because it's so competitive.
Sure.
The Eastern Conference, I expect
there's
Nets,
like the 3
Philly,
up top, 3 or 4 up top. Yeah. Miami's in first.
If I'm the Sixers, if I'm the Nets, or if I'm the Bucks, Miami doesn't scare me at all.
I know. Yeah.
Dude, Miami just doesn't scare me. They're like the Bucks from 2 years ago, the year before they won the championship. Yeah, they were first, but with like 68 wins, and people are like, they're not going to do anything.
The other 3 teams, those 4 teams, right? Miami, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Philly.
Yeah, and
like
Brooklyn,
the other 3 teams, those 3 teams do scare me. You're right. Like, beating those teams is going to be tough. We have beaten all those teams, but beating those teams in the 7-game series, playoff atmosphere would be tough.
Right, especially
but you're right,
Miami away team.
Miami, for some reason, I think it's Jimmy. We just play harder.
Well, and Miami's small.
So, like, Bam is considered one of these top defensive centers, but Cat's a whole different monster, you know?
Cat's 7 feet and Bam's 6'8". When you have 4 inches on a guy and you're taller than him, you're gonna score.
You're gonna go
there. I had to. But we mentioned the Nets. Kyrie also dropped 60 the other night. Proves he's back. He's, he never left. He just doesn't.
Yeah, Kyrie's been an amazing player. We've said that.
He's a top 75 player, I'd say. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I think it was funny, so Kyrie can't play at home games because of Brooklyn's vaccine mandate or whatever.
Right. That they've been overturning for like 2 months now.
Yeah. So he went to a Knicks game, I believe. There was Brooklyn versus the Knicks, and Kyrie can't play there either because he wasn't vaccinated. But he showed up to the game as a fan without a mask on and watched the game. The game without a mask on,
and he got fined.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know he got fined, but he can be there as a fan or whatever. But
it was either a fine or a suspension for doing that. So he did. I heard about that, but then the NBA also heard about that, and he got punished for it. Yeah, Kyrie's great. The mandate laws in New York, once those are gone, especially if they're done by the playoffs.
Yeah, getting Kyrie for 7 games is changing.
Kyrie plus KD for 7 games.
Yeah.
My only issue is with the Nets. Those are the only 2 scary players.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, if you can shut down one of those 2, you probably win in the 7-game series.
Yeah.
That's why I think the Bucks are a good matchup against them. That's why I think that's why the Sixers in the 7-game series, I think the Sixers do take out that 4-3 win.
Yeah, I think the Sixers can do it just because Joel Embiid's going to have more free throws than the entire Nets team.
Oh yeah, he'll set the record for most free throws in a playoff series at least once this playoffs.
Yeah.
He will set that right. It'll be the most. If there's ever a 7-game series, Joel Embiid will break the free throw record.
And so
he'll shoot like 200.
Giannis is the other leader. Like, they're both at like 100 something more than the other. So I would have loved to see like Philadelphia versus Milwaukee and how long those games would be.
Right, a 7-game series that takes each game lasts 4 hours.
Yeah, because of the free throws that Giannis and Embiid are going to be taking.
That'll be impossible to watch. The amount of stoppages and plays will be impossible to watch, which is why I love the playoffs, because they let so much more go.
Yeah.
And then you have guys like Embiid and Harden that it's like, they can't step up in the playoffs. No, they're doing the exact same thing they do in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's just they stopped getting calls, and now all of a sudden with free throws included, Joel Embiid for the past month is averaging 31 points a game.
Yeah.
With free throws taken out, it's 17.9.
Yeah. That's a number 3 on a team.
And exactly. So you have this guy that everybody's expecting to be a number 1, and all of a sudden you get to the playoffs and your number 1 plays like a number 3 because he's not getting his calls.
Sure.
That's what happens with Harden and Embiid. But anyway, that's all we got for basketball. We had our fun Timberwolves talk. Kyrie got his stuff in. We have a ton of NFL news because of free agency period starting, and we
the legal tampering period.
So dumb. I hate that. But yeah, and then we got some huge Vikings news. Yeah. Let's start with the signings from around the league. First one that I did want to mention is not a signing. It's the fact that the Chiefs decided to sign Justin Reed and not give Tyrann Mathieu an extension or sign him. Yeah. So Tyrann Mathieu is currently a free agent. If your team needs a slot corner, a regular corner, a free safety, a strong safety, a nickel linebacker, Tyrann Mathieu is a free agent right now, and he can play all of those positions.
Yeah. A defensive weapon. I mean, if there's offensive weapons, you might as well.
Right.
He can do a little bit of everything. So.
Right. He's a defensive skills player. I don't know how you want to call him.
Yeah.
He is. I have his jersey from the Cardinals. I wish I had one from every. I would get a Tyrann Mathieu Houston Texans jersey. I would do it.
Poor soul, man.
I just love.
It might be a while till you get your Texans jersey. You're gonna have to wait till there's some kind of conclusion in Houston. They get a little bit better because they're not great.
But yeah, so he's a free agent. I don't understand it. Like, I understand maybe the Chiefs not having the money they wanted.
Maybe his camp is seeking a specific price,
right? And that's why they had to go with Justin Reed, because they couldn't afford Tyrann.
Yeah.
But whatever Tyrann's asking for, you have to do your negotiations because it's that's your job, but
Right.
I wouldn't negotiate too much.
Yeah,
You're getting one of the best defensive weapons in football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year was his worst career year statistically, and in the second half of the season, he basically was above his career averages. It was just the first half he was not good. I don't get it. I don't get how Tyrann Mathieu is still a free agent. But some players that did sign, the Buffalo Bills. I tweeted about this. Buffalo Bills are going balls to the wall. They are doing what every fan base says when they post that meme of the person like poking the stick saying do something.
Yeah, do something, yeah.
That's what the Bills and the Jags and like some of the other teams with the Bills are doing that. They're not just signing a bunch of players. They're signing big players. Like they signed OJ Howard. So now they had Dawson Knox, but I mean, OJ Howard is super
a different one of those wide receiver weapons, kind of like you can move like a wide receiver in a tight end's body. He's kind of like one of those,
and yet he's an insanely good blocker.
Yeah.
He had higher blocking stats than Cameron Brate.
Yeah,
which that's insane. So they got OJ Howard, but then the big news,
they released
6 year. They released Cole Beasley.
Yeah, that's the big news.
They did. That was the big thing. They released MC vaccine. They also signed 6 years, 120 million or something like that.
$120. Yep.
Yeah, 55 million guaranteed with a 35 million or 42 million signing bonus, something like that. So good amount of money up front. But when you hear that also means over $100 million probably voidable or movable. The expectation is that 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
he will be able to be let go with a $0 cap hit.
Yeah, I mean, if you say the 55 or whatever guaranteed, that's roughly 20 million per year average. So
yeah,
I'd assume after 3 years, the last 3 years could be voidable with like nothing. So
yep. And then once you get rid of the guarantees, once you've covered his guarantees, if you move any of that money, it's all voidable. Yeah. So it sounds like a big contract, but when I read it, I immediately was like, all right, how much of this is actually going to cost them money?
Yeah, that's crazy though.
The big thing is he's the first defensive player in NFL history to score two contracts over $100 million.
Yeah.
He deserves it. Super Bowl MVP, insane. When he was on the Broncos, he was just absolutely insane. He brought the Rams from a good defense to a great defense. Yeah. Made some huge plays when it counted, and now I don't know. Like I know it's only a couple big signings, but the Bills to me should be the AFC Super Bowl favorites over the Chiefs. The Chiefs are letting too many people go. They are not signing the key places that I would sign. Yeah,
and Chiefs still need O-line.
Right, so, Chiefs still need O-line. Their defensive line is the most overpaid versus production in the entire NFL. Right. Frank Clark and Chris Jones do not play like two of the highest paid players in the NFL. Sure. So I don't know. That's too much money divvied up among. It's like the Vikings problems last year. You have the 13th or 15th highest paid 12th highest paid defense and that plays at 29th and 30th and 31st and you can't do that. And I think that's the Chiefs situation right now. Sure. And so I don't know. Bills are my favorite in the AFC. I'm not like a Bills fan. If anything, they're one of my least liked teams. I still think Bills should be Super Bowl favorites for AFC.
Sure.
Let's stick to an AFC team. We talked about when we have a video about this tight end free agency class being the best tight end free agency class ever. Multiple guys were franchise tagged because of that, because they couldn't let him go. Multiple guys have already gotten signed. One of the guys that we listed in that video as extremely underrated, and we wanted him to re-sign with his team because it would be super smart. Mo Alley-Cox and the Indianapolis Colts signed Mo Alley-Cox to a 3-year deal. I didn't write down the numbers, but it was like a 3-year, $40 million. Like he got a very good payday. Yeah, for a 3-year, 36. Like he got a really good payday.
Sure. When we played the Colts, we thinking of the Colts, we think of Jack Doyle.
Okay.
Yeah, so the announcers were like, Mo Alley-Cox, he's finally getting his time to come up here. He's a really good receiver, kind of like a vertical threat, not necessarily like a blocker. Yeah, but he just tore us up.
Yeah,
he just tore us up. Just right down the middle of the field, just 20-foot strike, 20-yard strike, 30-yard strike.
Yeah, he's
15-yard strike out. Like,
I know people aren't that interested in like the nerdy side of football, but when it comes to like a tight end with eye skills and ball skills, he's right up there. Like if you over the shoulder is not an issue for him.
Oh yeah,
over a defender,
go up and get it. Yeah,
like
get it too. Yeah,
he knows where the ball's going. He's just I don't know if that's a high football IQ thing or what, but he plays like somebody who's just knows what's going on at all times.
Yeah,
and that's why I think what makes him. I would call that football IQ. Yeah, he's just he seems like if you send him on a 10-yard out, he knows when the ball's coming to him. And no matter what if it was Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz, it doesn't matter. He knows. Maybe he just puts in that work in practice.
Rivers.
Yeah, he just knows. Every quarterback he's had, he's so great. I'm super happy for him. Another big thing that they did, though, one of their best wide receivers ever, Reggie Wayne, has been signed to their team. Yep, he's coming back out of retirement. Reggie Wayne, we've said they needed weapons. But he's going to be the wide receiver coach.
Yeah. So, and they got a lot of young wide receivers. Yeah, no, I think it'll help these young guys kind of make a mark, become a little bit more reliable in the passing game. But I still don't think they have a quarterback. Yeah, we'll have to see what they do there. But
it looks like it's going to end up being Jimmy G, if I had to guess, just because Jimmy G hasn't been signed places, and the other guys that they were looking at, Kirk got an extension, Trubisky who's been signed, like some of the other guys that they wanted. Yeah. That maybe they go get Baker Mayfield, but yeah, they don't really have somebody throwing to them. Tyrod Taylor was signed. Teddy Bridgewater was signed. So some
of those bridge guys.
Yeah, bridge guys. Yeah, a lot of these guys that they, I think they would target are getting signed. So maybe Taylor Heineke ends up there.
I think he signed a 2-year extension with Commanders, though. So I think he's got the Commander one more year with the Commanders.
So I don't know who they get. Somebody's got to throw him the ball.
Yeah.
Let's do the next AFC signing. Chargers, they traded for Khalil Mack. They still believed they needed upgrades on defense, which was 100%. All last year, all we heard was their offense is in the right spot. Their defense just can't keep them in games.
Right.
I also think part of that was Justin Herbert being young, not understanding how to keep your team in a game, how to press a lead. And Brandon Staley, that's a big thing on him, not how to press a lead. They signed J.C. Jackson. What is his nickname? INT God, INT King. It was something like that's like his genuine nickname from fans is like INT King, something like that. Probably one of the most impactful signings I've seen so far in terms of free agencies.
Sure.
I think that's going to be huge for them. So now they had J.C. Horn is their young guy, right? Or is it no? They have Antonio Samuels.
That sounds
Samuels
right.
Jr. Yeah. So they got him. And then they have J.C. Jackson now. So they have a good 1-2 at corner. I believe they still have Jason Barrett, if I'm not mistaken. He might be on the Niners. Yeah, and then obviously if Derwin James can stay healthy, it's a big if. But they got a good, solid young linebacking core.
Yeah, you're right. Asante Samuel, thank you.
Yeah. They have Mack and Bosa now. They got, I don't know, their defense looks like it's ready to go.
Definitely better, yeah.
I thought that would have been a good place for Michael Pierce to go. He went back to the Ravens.
Yep.
But I thought if Michael Pierce went there, they would be a completely different team this year. Sure. I think they could just use one more big, D tackle. So NFL draft-wise.
They still have Linval.
Right, they have Linval. I think that's why I think they can use one more, because Linval was doing he had some sets where he was only playing 2 snaps on the Vikings, and that was years ago, a couple years ago now.
Right.
He's a little older.
Right.
I think if I'm them, I try to if one of the better defensive tackles is available on the draft, that's who I go for them, and then probably another weapon, because you're not going to be able to re-sign all these weapons that you have.
They did actually, though. Didn't they re-sign Mike Williams? I thought
Mike Williams got a huge extension.
Yeah, and I thought Keenan Allen might have as well, but
I think he got a restructure that ended up being more straight value money, but better for the team. They could also use a running back. I like Eckler, but they could use another one.
Yeah.
Got a few more signings to go through. We got a couple more NFC news, a couple more AFC, so nice variety here. Then we'll get into Vikings talk. First thing, Younghoe Koo, huge extension. I'm a major fan of Younghoe. I tried to get him early. I was going to draft him in a really early round of fantasy football this year, and somebody else did. They drafted him in the 6th round. I was like, what? Yeah, there's always in our fantasy football league, there's always one person that drafts a kicker, and everyone's like, what? Well, and then after the first kicker goes, the next 2, it's always Younghoe Koo got drafted, so I'm going to sign Justin. I'm going to get Justin Tucker and whoever is the Chiefs kicker at that time. Butker, It's always,
who would have Butker? That's so dumb. So stupid.
And then usually after that happens, I'm always like, all right, I'll take the number 2 tight end on the board that's still there because everybody decided to get kickers. But so anyway, Younghoe Koo was extended. Awesome. I love Younghoe Koo. So like I've said, my dream one day is to have a jersey for every team.
Yeah. Should do that as a segment next episode. Just like one jersey, yeah, for each team.
From current or previous, or would we just do only current players?
It's up to you. I'd say probably current
players.
Right now.
Yeah, I think mine would be Deion Jones or Younghoe Koo for the Falcons. Instead of the signings, let's take a break from the signings quick. Let's talk about somebody that decided to. They were sick of everybody else getting the attention. They were sick of all the stories not being on them. 40 days and 40 nights. Now, after I said that, all the people listening know exactly what I'm about to say. Right. 40 days and 40 nights. Tom Brady is out of retirement. Back on the Buccaneers. Reportedly.
One more year. One more year.
Reportedly was talking with Bruce Arians about trying to make a way to trade to the San Francisco 49ers. They were trying to do that, and the Buccaneers basically responded to Tom Brady saying, you might as well stay retired.
Yeah.
That if he wants
to play for us or
right, yep, you're either playing out your contract for the Bucs or you're not playing at all. Yeah. So that's why Tom Brady came back to the Bucs. He didn't want to play for the Bucs. So I think that I hope the other players in the locker room let him know, like, oh, why didn't you want to play with us, huh?
Yeah.
So they lost 2 offensive linemen. So then they had to trade for Shaq Mason from the Patriots, which I thought was insane. The Patriots were willing to give up Shaq Mason.
They tagged Godwin, so he's staying.
Again. And then Gronk just stated on a podcast that he'll be going back to the Bucs.
Yep.
So they'll be getting Gronk back. Maybe they'll go get Antonio Brown. I don't know what the Bucs are gonna do though, because like if your team was just as stacked last year and you weren't super injured, like you had some injuries, you had some bad injuries, but I feel like they should have done better. So we'll see what the Bucs do this
Tom Brady did in the playoffs. Tom Brady did lead a crazy comeback.
Right.
Someone
Cup
else made a mistake. Someone made a mistake that cost Tom Brady, right? Like, there's no defense.
Yeah, right? No defense. Yeah, Cooper Cup just Cooper Cuck.
He cucked him, dude. He just cucked him so hard.
You got Cooper cucked.
They got Cooper cucked. And all Tom Brady could do was watch.
All Tom Brady could do is Cooper cucked him over and over. Oh, Jesus.
That's funny.
But yeah, anyway, apparently wanted to go to the Niners. They signed Mason. So the Bucs are not done making moves. They'll probably make a couple more smaller signings. Maybe they'll try to make a couple trades to get draft picks, something like that. But we'll see what they decide to do. I 100% think part of it is just he didn't give himself enough time. He decided to retire before he was ready. We've all heard that he has discussions with his wife all the time.
Yeah.
That she wants him to be done. So I'm sure he was doing it to appease his family and then realized, like, I don't want to be done, though.
Right.
So
I like football.
Yeah. I love all the jokes, though. You know, he spent 40 days with his family and he was like, God, get me out. Get me out of here. He was alone one day asking his family, all right, what do you guys want to do today? And then realized the house was empty because they were all doing their own thing. Like, I liked all the comments about it, but Tom Brady's back. And I don't think the Buccaneers are going to – they might be a playoff team.
In that division, I think they pretty much got it in the bag. So,
well, we'll see. We'll see depending on what happens with the Falcons that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, he's back. Let's get back into some free agency signings, though. One quick thing. Za'Darius Smith signs with the Ravens, and psych pulls out. He's gone psych! He backed out, pulled the Josh McDaniels. On his way there to sign the papers, and I'm good. I don't want to play for the Ravens. And I was just thinking in my head today, like, Za'Darius Smith sounds like a Raven. Like, when I watch him play, it just sounds like a Ravens player. Yeah. I was like, that's a perfect fit. Psych! Like, nope.
Sure.
I thought that was crazy. Let's talk about keep with the signings. Jacksonville Jags signed This player, this
Everybody.
player, this player, this player, this player, this player. They signed Evan Ingram, Brandon Scherf, Christian Kirk, Oluwatu, Oluwang,
Oluwakun or something like
Oluwakun.
that.
I took a screenshot just to make sure I had them all. Christian Kirk, 4 years, 72 mil. Brandon Scherf, 3 years, 50 mil. Foye Oluwakun, 3 years, 45 mil. Darius Williams, 3 years, 30. What?
I didn't know Ingram's deal.
Evan Ingram, 1 year, 9 mil.
Okay, I thought, would you say? Repeat those again?
Christian Kirk, 4 years, 72. Brandon Scherf, 3 year, 50.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep. Foye Oluwakun, 3 years, 45. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think Scherf, you could give him more. He's amazing. Kirk is overpaid. Oluwakun is about fair. Darius Williams, 3 years, 30 mil. I think that's about right.
That's fine, yeah.
Foley Fatukasi, defensive tackle, 3 years, 30 mil. I think that's a bit too much.
Sure.
Zay Jones, 3 years, 24 mil.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And then Evan Ingram, 1 year, 9 mil. I wouldn't have.
Better be injury stuff in there for him.
Yeah, exactly. You better get some sort of here's an incentive for if you play at least 8 games.
Yeah, I was gonna say half the games.
Yeah, my goodness. But anyway, so everybody was freaking out, Jags are not done. Jags got so much. Jags are signing this and this. Jags are nuts. And it's no, look at the Bills, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Jags went Patriots last year. We're going quantity and hoping that it just changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, and the Jags did lose DJ Chark too. So
right.
DJ Chark's out there, so a number one weapon.
Christian Kirk's very good.
But he's never passed 1,000 yards on a season.
But he's always been paired with Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, the Brown guy, John Brown, JJ Brown.
Yeah, but we'll see. That's still a lot of money to pay to someone who's, what do you get, 18 mil? That's a lot.
He got paid I definitely think it's more than I would have expected him to get.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he looks great when you watch him.
Yeah.
So maybe with the opportunity, it'll be awesome to see. If Evan Ingram can stay healthy, if he can play at least 12 games, that's a great deal. But I don't see him being able to play that. I just don't.
Yeah, but and plus he dropped a lot too last year.
Yep. I'm not excited about the Jags signings. I think they stole Brandon Scherf from the teams where he would actually be great on,
sure.
The Vikings or the Bengals. Would have been great to see Brandon Scherf go to a team that goes to the playoffs. Yeah. But now he's on the Jags, where he's going to be one of those Joe Thomas guys who's an all-pro offensive lineman who is literally just surrounded by potential every year. Every year. We got so much potential. We're going to do great. And what do you know? That Brandon Scherf's the only one who's actually showing out.
Sure.
James Robinson. Hopefully it helps him out. But anyway, Jags. Honestly, everybody was freaking out. I don't get it. Next thing, big free agents here from the Raiders. They signed Chandler Jones to a really good 3-year contract.
3 for 51, I think.
Even at his age, just like Von Miller, I'm fine with the long-term contracts because they're still producing. You front load them in case they decide to retire or you need to move on.
Chandler Jones had 5 sacks in his first game last year. So.
Yeah. Chandler Jones, he's so good. He's still so good. He's one of those guys. Everybody's the Patriots release their players right before they fall off. Chandler Jones is one of those guys maybe you should have kept.
Yeah.
He's so good. So I'm glad. He was unhappy at the Cardinals last year. He asked for a trade and they did not honor it. We'll get into another player that's having that situation later on. But one player that did ask for a trade and received it happened to also go to the Raiders. Breaking news. Just as we were recording this, just like last week, breaking news happened, Khalil Mack, while we were recording. Breaking news. Davante Adams has been traded to the LV Raiders.
Yeah.
For 2 picks. 2 prime 2022 picks.
You think an elite wide receiver is worth a first and a third, and then they get a late round pick back? That's typically they usually get a 5th or a 6th back.
It sounds like it'll be just a first and second with nothing in return.
Yeah, so so you think you get an elite receiver and a 5th or 6th for a first and a third. That's what Percy Harvin got. That's what Stephon Diggs got.
Well, unless it's DeAndre Hopkins and it's D-Hop in a fifth for a
A
second.
second, and we'll take a washed-up running back. I mean, they got over that value, so that's a good trade for the Packers.
And Packers had no choice because Davante Adams was willing to sit out the whole year without playing if he had to.
Yeah. So
for those who don't know, Aaron Rodgers reportedly knew about this. One insider said he knew about this during his own negotiations, that he was re-signing to a team that was planning on moving Adams. One insider reported that he was not informed until Wednesday. Either way, apparently Aaron Rodgers did know about this. So before you jump out saying, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to retire now," Aaron Rodgers is gonna, Aaron Rodgers is probably upset and sad, especially because I think they tendered Alan Lazard, so he sounds like he'll be back. I mean, they can use one of those picks. It's a very, very good wide receiver class. It's just whether or not the Packers are willing to actually draft a wide receiver. That's really all it is. If they're willing to actually draft a wide receiver, they should be fine. You're not going to get a Davante Adams. Yeah. But you still have Aaron Rodgers. You still have two amazing running backs. You have a great tight end. Did they re-sign Tunyon? I'm not sure. Anyway,
no, I think he's still a free agent.
I think he's still a free agent. They'll get him back, I'm sure.
There's still tight ends out there. So
yeah. So they lost Davante, but if Aaron Rodgers is really one of the best quarterbacks of all time, he should be fine. The Raiders had to do something.
They did.
The Broncos are loading up. The Chiefs are already good. The Chargers are loaded up. That division is the best in football, and it is not close.
Yeah, 100%.
It might not have been that way 2 years ago. You might not have felt that way. You might not have felt that way even last year. There is no doubt.
Just a slugfest now.
Those games are going to be must-watch television.
They're going to beat each other up.
Every AFC West game, we say this now, one of these teams might just end, like the Broncos. Russ might just fall off a cliff and just be a flop. You never know. Herbert might regress. Obviously, some things might happen. Mahomes might, one of these guys might get hurt. One of these guys might just not live up to expectations. You never know. But as of right now, every one of those games is getting flexed to prime time. Every single one of those games is going to be every AFC West game. And that division winner is going to win the division at 8-1.
They're gonna take the Packers off Sunday Night Football now.
Yeah.
Put in an AFC game.
Absolutely. They will do that sort of thing. I mean, oh my gosh. That division is going to be so great. And
Roger Goodell, how come we have how come we're playing on multiple Thursday night games? Why is this? I thought we only played one. Well, AFC West.
AFC West, you kind of got to.
You did it to yourselves.
I would not be surprised to see the winner of that division have 10 wins. And not because the division is bad, but because
everyone else has 10 wins too.
Everybody else has 10 wins, and every time they go up against each other, each one of them goes 1-1 throughout their whole series.
Yeah,
they're all 1-1 against each other. That's so awesome. The person people I feel worse about, even though they just got Davante Adams, I still feel terrible for the Raiders.
Yeah. They're not quite to the other team's level. They're not. I mean, Davante Adams is game changer himself.
I mean, you say he's the best wide receiver in football. Most people believe he's the best wide receiver in football. No matter who you have at quarterback, that's going to help you out. That's why people think Kyler's so good, because he has D-Hop.
What happened when D-Hop went
What happened when D-Hop left? Derek Carr, when he lost his weapons, was still producing.
Here's what would it be like if Kyler did our podcast.
Guys? Oh, man. Yeah, I feel bad for the Raiders, but, I think the way they are, the attitude of the city, the attitude of the players, they're going to compete. And
they always compete, yeah.
Obviously, that division, I want to pick the Chiefs, but
you don't know, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know.
Here's the thing. The Raiders from an offensive standpoint look pretty good.
Yeah,
right? They got a top 10 running back. They got a top 4 tight end. They got a top 2 receiver. So I don't know. Offensive wise, they got good pieces. But
I'm gonna be rooting for the Raiders. Division.
I think so too.
I'm gonna. They might not be the ones that we see make the playoffs at the end, but that's the team that I'm rooting for.
Sure,
I want them to win.
Just when the game is on the line and you've got 4 downs to score a touchdown and you're in the red zone, make sure Waller's out there and you.
Yeah, try to give it to Waller. If Waller can come back and be healthy, you got Waller, you've got Renfro, you've got Adams.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that team's good. That team is good. You got Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Yeah, draft a couple of linemen and make sure you can get your defense better, man. Just make that defense better.
Yeah.
You got Chandler Jones, so.
Chandler Jones, that'll help.
God, let's go Raiders, man. Let's go Raiders. But, since we're on the topic of trades, that's what I'm like with Davante. Let's go over Cleveland Browns. They were apparently in the running, wanting to trade for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson said no to the Seahawks. He was the first team they declined. I believe he has now turned down the Colts. The Texans turned. They refused to listen to calls from the Colts. He wants to go there, but
Colts don't have any picks this year, so
it's within his division. They refused to trade Deshaun to a division rival. So Colts are out, Seahawks are out. After today, the Browns are now. Deshaun says he will not play for the Browns. But during that time, Baker Mayfield released like a thank you letter to Cleveland, saying like I've done everything I could for the city. My wife and I love it. Fans have been great.
Mutual interest, or mutual that we decide to move on or something like that.
Yep, and then formally requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns today, and he was formally denied a trade. The Browns stated they will not be honoring his request.
Yeah, they said they were only going to look at elite quarterback options to
replace him. Yep, and they weren't going to replace him with a Trubisky. They weren't going to replace him with a Mariota. They're only going to replace him with like a Kaepernick or a Deshaun Watson.
Well, I mean Trubisky.
Oh, I'm MVP. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I know a lot of people hate Baker. They say that he's terrible. I just think that if it was on a different team, so many people would feel differently. If he didn't have the attitude he had, people would feel differently.
Yeah.
All of his stats he played injured last year.
Right.
So his stats were like the first 6 games, he was a top 10 quarterback in football, broke his collarbone and then fell off a cliff.
Yep.
It's like, oh, weird. A quarterback can't play with a broken collarbone. What a surprise. His rookie year was incredible. His second year was not great. But, I mean, you took a team that hadn't made the playoffs in over a decade and you brought them to the playoffs. Like, a bad quarterback can't do that. I do not think he's an elite quarterback.
Hey. Christian Ponder led us to the playoffs.
Like I said, a bad quarterback could not do that. Christian Ponder that year was not bad, in my opinion. He was bad the rest of his career, but that year he wasn't, which is why we would have beat the Packers if it wasn't Joe Webb.
There we go. There it is. The hill will die
on. I think like Kirk's better. Obviously, like Kirk's better than him, right. But he's better than what Justin Fields showed you as a rookie. He's better than what Jalen Hurts has showed you.
Justin, like the Bears fans that were like Bears fans at the end of the year that were like, see, this is why we would rather have Justin Fields than Kirk. Justin Fields was like the worst out of every rookie quarterback, starting quarterback, stat wise in the entire league. So
I have a hard time.
I'm not saying Justin Fields is bad.
Right.
I'm not saying that
was it worse than Zach Wilson?
I mean, it was like, I want to say like his stats were like 31st out of starting quarterbacks or something like that, like 31st and lower. So
I just think Baker's one of those, like, he's better than what Justin Fields showed. He's better than Zach Wilson. He's better than Jalen Hurts is what he's been doing.
Well, no, he did better. He probably did better than Trevor Lawrence too. I mean, like,
he's better than what Trevor Lawrence showed you. Yeah. He's better than there's multiple He's better than Drew Lock. He's better than Daniel Jones.
I think it's one of those things where like Baker does need more more help from the people around him. Like the people you're comparing him to outside of like Drew Lock, it's like the teams around the players around him aren't great. Whereas Drew Lock should have been good in Denver. Like he had all those weapons and everything, but like Jags team sucks, Jets suck, Bears aren't that good.
But the Jags have weapons. They got multiple good receivers and running back. Yeah. The Giants have multiple weapons.
Yeah.
In terms of weapon-wise, obviously their offensive lines aren't elite.
Baker had really good pieces, like when they made the playoffs. Like they made a run in the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
So like they had a really good team around him. So obviously, I think most of the time, if you have a good quarterback with great players around him, it can make that quarterback great. So I think that's kind of the same thing for Baker. Yeah. He needs great players around him. And if he doesn't necessarily have great players around him, you're going to see his flaws.
I think he floats somewhere between 15th to 20th best QB in the league.
I'm sure we could find him in that mix.
Around that 20 spot, which means you have to have a perfect situation to go deep into the playoffs. And if you don't, you always have to keep your eye out for an upgrade.
Yeah.
And I think that defines Baker perfectly. Like when everything went right, when they were a completely healthy team and they got like good coaching and all that sort of thing, they made it to the playoffs and they were in a good situation.
Yeah.
As soon as, you got an injury here, you got some issues in the locker room there, all of a sudden they fell off. Like he's in that situation where he just happens to need everything to be perfect, which the odds of that happening on any NFL team is low.
Yeah.
So I don't think Baker Mayfield's a bad quarterback. If he was a backup, he would be the best backup in football.
Sure.
And that might not necessarily be a compliment, especially to Baker Mayfield, but like if he's a backup, he's the best backup in football.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
It's if he wanted to change his role, change how he viewed himself, if he tried to play more like Jimmy G as opposed to thinking he's still that Heisman
I think that
winner.
would be I think that would be a huge deal for him if he played safer, didn't take too many risks.
Right, which is just him. That's he relies on. He plays with the confidence that he protrudes, which very confident person.
Right.
Jimmy G is like the quiet confidence that he'd rather play it safe so that he's in it for the long haul, while Baker is trying to play a little bit more dangerously to prove himself.
Right.
It's that chip on his shoulder that everybody always says he has, and.
Sure.
If he toned it down and played like Jimmy G, which would be completely changing his entire attitude, and I don't think it would happen. If he did that, he becomes that guy that people are arguing. Is he a winner? Is he a starting quarterback?
Right.
He keeps playing like he is. He's just one of those guys that's going to fall out. Did Tyrod Taylor ever play for the Browns? I feel like he did. I feel like at this point he's playing on half the team.
I feel like Tyrod Taylor's been with a lot of teams, yeah.
Well, Giants signed Tyrod Taylor. We mentioned Daniel Jones, and I think it's awesome that Daniel Jones is finally going to be backing up and learning from somebody that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw that it was like Giants finally have elite backup, and I was like, oh, okay. Who'd they sign for starter? The news was broken that Tyrod Taylor was signed to back up Daniel Jones. It's like, it's never good when your backup is better than your starter.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is a better runner than he is a thrower of the football. He's one of those guys. I don't understand the people that still root for him.
Yeah. It's tough.
He's obviously
you want him to succeed, but he's very clearly not the answer. Right. And I think the Giants have a lot more problems than quarterback. I mean, obviously quarterback's a huge deal, but like, I don't know. Like,
there's teams that struggle from the ownership down, and Giants are one of them. Like their ownership is a issue.
Yeah, sure.
That's already a problem. And when your ownership and GM is an issue, it's going to trickle down.
Yeah.
They make bad hiring choices for coaches. There's multiple coaches that were available that would have been better than Joe Judge.
Yeah.
There's multiple quarterbacks, and they doubled down. They said they would not be targeting
anymore. They have the Bills
for Dayball.
Yeah, Dayball. Yeah.
Well, that's why I mean. Like 2 years ago, they hired Joe Judge when there was other guys. This year, they hired Dayball, which is great.
Yeah.
The fact that they doubled down, they said they won't be targeting a quarterback in the draft. I get that being such a weak draft class, but I think they're going to tank and then Dayball get his quarterback in next year's draft.
Sure.
Which is probably going to be a Bryce Young or something like that.
Right.
CJ Stroud, I think, is better, but we'll see. The Dolphins, however, did the same thing. Signed a Teddy Bridgewater, and now Tua will be a great backup. That's just another one of those. They signed Teddy. He's supposed to be the backup, but again, that is a backup. Teddy Bridgewater is not elite. Teddy Bridgewater
not
is
at all.
No.
For all those Vikings fans that would rather have Teddy Bridgewater or Case Keenum as your quarterback,
you're dumb as hell. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. If you think Bridgewater is better than Kirk, if you think Case Keenum would be better than Kirk, you're dumb as hell.
Yeah.
What?
100.
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater is better than Tua, in my opinion. I don't think Tua is very good.
I mean, Tua last year, not this most recent one, obviously, but like the year before when they won 10 games or whatever, Tua looked good.
Yep.
When they were using Gesicki and they were using Myles Gaskin.
When he was playing like a Jimmy G and cared more, but he'd rather have one touchdown and no interceptions than two touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but I mean, like but in the red zone, he was really good. Like he really like efficient, great, like safe. But he was getting points. So like they were a really good red zone team. But then this year it's just like you can't get to the red zone to be efficient.
Right. Even though you have the best Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle, you have the second best rookie wide receiver in football.
Yeah.
And you're not making it into the red zone unless Jalen Waddle runs it in from outside the red zone.
And you got a top 5 tight end that you don't know how to use. So
that's and you have a top good running back, not a top end running back, but you have a good running back that can catch the ball, can take pressure off of you.
That you only use in the odd weeks. Yeah.
It's just so dumb. And it's like, was that coaching or was that Tua?
Yeah, and now you have a very offensive-minded genius as your head coach. So,
they just signed a record, the second highest paid fullback in Ingold.
You're damn right.
So it sounds like they're going to move to running the ball. They also signed Chase Edmonds from the Cardinals, that they will also not use. It sounds like they're gonna run the Niners style. I think like they did in the Niners. They're gonna run a running back by committee. They're going to set up the play action, do heavy motion. They got an athletic tight end, like they run him like Kittle, where he's a successful blocker, but when he's not blocking, he's going to be used on a wide variety of routes. And then you have a wide receiver who might run the ball occasionally. He's going to run a huge route tree. Yeah. And then I think the odd man out is Davante Parker. Yeah. I think there's a good chance that he ends up feeling lost in the system unless he can figure out how to change his style.
More Preston Williams, probably.
Yeah. Yep. And so it's if Tua can't perform in this offense, where a guy like Jimmy G, which is like how he plays, is Tua basically is a shorter Jimmy G.
Probably not as good as him, even as like passing skills.
Yeah. If the Dolphins are 1-6, 7 weeks in,
they were 1-9 and then won 9 in a row. So
I still, if they're 1-6 again and start out slow, put in Teddy, and I guarantee the system works.
Yeah.
I guarantee Teddy knows how to run that system.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Tua's one of those guys. Maybe I mentioned it earlier. I've jumped off the ship on some people that maybe I shouldn't have. I stay strong with people that I maybe shouldn't have. Maybe I'm rooting too hard for Baker and should be taking that and putting into Tua.
Tua time.
We'll see. It used to be tank for Tua, and then it ended up being not that way.
I think Tua compared to Baker.
I'll take Baker.
I don't know.
I'll take Baker.
I don't know.
I think Baker's got a better deep ball. If my receiver hits 30 yards down the field, I'm starting to question whether or not Tua's getting it to him. Not strength-wise, but accuracy-wise. Tua's big calling card was, like you said, in the red zone, super efficient, super accurate. Like his big calling card is like always hitting the receivers.
Yeah.
As soon as it gets down the field, I question whether or not Tua's going to be able to hit the guy.
Sure.
And I don't know if Tua's scared, if he doesn't think he can do it. Tua seems like the opposite of Baker in terms of doesn't play with confidence.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't think necessarily either of them. I'm gonna say no on either. I'm just gonna no. I'd rather have someone else.
I mean, I agree. They're both guys that you can upgrade from.
Yeah.
But
and that's what the Browns were saying. Like, I don't think the Browns were disrespecting him. Like,
here you go. Baker, Tua, or Teddy.
What does my team look like?
Dolphins.
I'd probably say Tua still.
Okay. I'm taking Baker in that.
I feel like,
but they're both
like gonna run around. Like,
it's this. That's the difference in talent.
Yeah. No, I think they're very similar. Yeah.
You could argue that this is Tua. For those of you just listening, my hands are basically an eighth of an inch apart. You could argue that this higher up one is Tua. I argue that this slightly higher up one's Baker. You can argue that this is Teddy. Like, they're all like that same guy. That guy that, if you like Teddy, if Tua and Baker learn from Teddy how to become a bridge quarterback, they can both be in the league for 10 years. They're just not going to be what they want to be. We got one last free agency news before we jump to the Vikings, which is the Rams are stacking, even though they may have lost Von Miller. They're going to get Robert Woods back.
Yep.
They're going to still Cooper Kupp people.
Yep. They got Van Jefferson.
They still have Van Jefferson. They have the tight end still, Higbee, yep. They have Cam Akers coming back.
Yep. Sony Michel.
They still got some good running backs. And they got Allen Robinson now as well.
He's been trapped on the Bears for a couple of years.
I don't know if they're gonna have their wide receivers also play corner or like what's gonna happen, but
can A-Rob play like outside linebacker? Is that
I don't like, they needed more weapons, clearly.
Yeah.
I know, like, there's a couple of the big media guys that talk about how this is the other teams need to do what the Rams are doing and never be satisfied with the amount of weapons you have. But like, Allen Robinson got $15 million a year.
15 AAV. Yeah.
How good is the Rams defense going to be? They got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald.
Yep.
I can't really like list anybody else they have.
Yep.
I don't know if they still have Taylor Rapp or if he's gone.
I couldn't tell you another player on the Rams defense.
Right. And like
honest.
they tend to lose the players that they've got, like Robert Quinn's no longer there after a few years.
Ashawn Robinson.
Okay, he used to be a Lion. Yep, Darius.
Linebackers aren't great. Yeah, Taylor Rapp's still there. Yeah, linebackers aren't great either. So,
it looks like a team that you double, triple Aaron Donald and you run the ball down their throat and keep their offense off the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's an easy. Like, I know this probably sounds ridiculous, but their team looks so beatable. They look so beatable.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, I think that their one like spark on offense, Cooper Kupp, like probably an easy solution would probably be to like double or triple him.
Yeah.
But teams wouldn't do that. They just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, right. Because he's
like,
white.
Let someone else beat you. Like
they never never doubled Adam Thielen in his prime either.
Yeah, like it's a deceiving speed.
Well, and that's the thing is like, yeah, you guys sound stupid for saying it's because he's white. There's former NFL players, current NFL players that have said they straight up they put a third string corner on these guys because they're white.
Yeah.
They give other guys a 5-yard cushion, but when they see them, they press them every time because they're white. Yeah. Like people will learn to double Cooper Kupp and that sort of thing. Maybe they won't. Maybe he'll get the Adam Thielen treatment and he'll consistently have big stats like Thielen because they'll never double him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can't really double him now. OBJ, then you're leaving Allen Robinson, OBJ, Robert Woods, Higbee.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm Van Jefferson, I'm just hoping.
Yeah, rumor has it that since Van Jefferson's still on like a rookie deal, I guess, is that they're looking to possibly shop Robert Woods.
Well, and OBJ is supposed to be out almost the whole regular season.
Right.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. But I think it's smart. The Bucs did that the year they won the Super Bowl. They just had just 3 tight ends, 4 receivers, 3 running backs. Like, maybe that is the way to do it. But the Bucs also had an elite defense that you could name every player at linebacker, corner, safety.
Sure.
They hit on a couple rookies like Winfield. Yeah, the Rams just have to nail every draft pick to me, and they all have to be defense. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The fact that they got Allen Robinson, though, that's the last team I would have thought. Genuinely, last team I would have expected. I would have expected the Bucs. So I would have expected somebody else to sign
AFC
them.
West?
I would have expected the Chiefs. Like,
yeah. Oh, God.
Rams would have been the last 32 out of 32, and they got him.
Yep.
Maybe I just don't know football. Speaking of not knowing football.
I could have seen the Rams before the Texans. I don't think A-Rob would want to do that again.
Right. Like, I guess when you think of in terms of he gets to choose where to go, the Rams jump up the list a little bit. But in terms of need, they're 32 at 32, and they got him. Speaking of not knowing anything about football, let's talk about Vikings now. That's what we do. We're local Minnesota sports fans.
Couch GMs. Professional couch GMs.
The big news right now is everybody's talking about they're looking to trade Danielle Hunter. They apparently are aggressively shopping, including they're trying to work on a restructure. Like I mentioned last week, I don't think he's going to take a restructure based on how aggressively
they can move $13 million of his like 26 cap hit to a signing bonus without his consent and save $13 million cap room. So that's still a possibility. I think that's like a last resort though for some reason.
Probably because that stops them. That's $13 million you can't spend elsewhere.
Yeah,
that's $13 million he gets immediately up front that you can no longer sign a.
But it opens 13 in cap space, so I guess I'm kind of confused how that works.
I guess,
but
we're not the cap wizards.
We're not.
Like I said, speaking about not knowing football, here's us.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I've seen some people be like, they're like, this team has a couple of fourths they can trade. It's like he's worth more than that, man. Just like even if he's played like 7 games in the last 2 years. Like
from what I have heard, the best offer they have received is a 2 and a 4.
Okay, I mean if Khalil Mack got a 2 and a 6, that's
right. So apparently the best offer they've received so far is a 2 and a 4, and the Vikings said that that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So the Vikings believe Danielle's better than a 2 and a 4. I think it was summed up perfectly today in a tweet that I saw, which was, and I also saw a writer on NFL.com make this discussion. If you extended Kirk, and your reasoning for extending Kirk was because you still believe this team's in win now mode and you want to be competitive,
right?
Why move on from Danielle Hunter if your goal is to maintain competitiveness?
Yeah.
Like, nobody who's replacing Danielle Hunter is going to be as productive.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I understand his cap isn't worth, or his cap's too high based on being injured.
Yeah. And the best availability is availability.
Yes.
So people are complaining about Kirk's cap hit right now this year, which is 31 now after the restructure. So it's 31, and he's played 31 of 32 games, or 32 of 33 games over the last 2 seasons. And Danielle Hunter's cap hit is 26, and he's played 7. But everyone was complaining about Kirk's contract, due to production,
and he's put up top 10 numbers in every stat. Kirk has.
Versus production, and then versus the fact that he's the fact we can't sign people. Whereas you can make the argument it's Danielle that's also preventing us from signing people. So
that was my big complaint last year before we had a podcast when we were extending Danielle, and because he was claiming he was going to sit out.
Yeah,
and he hadn't tweeted in like a year, and he basically tweeted out he's willing to sit out.
Yeah, and
I was like, you might as well trade him. And people are like, you're stupid for wanting to trade Danielle. And it's like, he's demanding so much money, and he's not like, is he worth it? And then they give him the extension. He doesn't get to play.
The best availability is availability.
100%. And Danielle's just, if you want to maintain competitiveness, you figure out how to keep Danielle.
Yeah. When healthy, both Kirk and Danielle are top 10 at their position. So, you can make the argument they're both super important.
On accumulative stats, on a per game basis of accumulative stats, Danielle Hunter throughout his career, on average, is the 6th best defensive end and outside linebacker. Since he's been in the league.
Yeah.
On average, when he plays at a top 10 player. He's almost a top 5 edge rusher in the league.
Yeah. I saw this one stat. I'm not sure 100% how it was worded, but it essentially put the money they've earned throughout their Vikings career for Danielle and Kirk, and put it on a game basis as based on their value or something like that. And Danielle Hunter's money per game is basically at roughly 1.9 per his stats, 1.9 mil per game, and Kirk's is at 1.96. So they're basically the equal production on either side of the ball. So you're right. If you're willing to do it for Kirk, why aren't you doing it for Danielle, since they're basically impacting the game the same way from either side? So
yep, I agree. So if they can keep Danielle, make it work. Otherwise, if you are going to trade him, like they're doing, playing hardball, make sure you get good enough value, because you're getting rid of a top 10 player at his position.
Yep.
If I had to vote, I keep Danielle.
Yeah,
but
me too.
We'll see what happens here. Next thing the Vikings are doing, they have signed a few people. The one thing I did say is, if you do move on from Danielle, if you could have moved on from Danielle to make room for a JC Tretter, I do it.
I think JC Tretter is someone that you need to call right now.
Right. Like if the reasoning you're shopping Danielle is because you believe you can sign JC Tretter, while I love Danielle, I want JC Tretter more than I want Danielle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then there's just one hole on your O-line. So
that's one hole that you can fill too. Like the players that you've signed so far this free agency can take a shot at it.
Schlottman.
Right. Yeah. You've got guys that can potentially take a shot at that position, or you can try to Wyatt Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one knows what we have in Wyatt Davis.
So we potentially, if you sign JC Tretter, the line is finally set for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah. And fun fact, last 4 seasons, he's been top 3 in pass protection grade.
Right. So I that's the thing. So if you get rid of Danielle, like I said, you want fair compensation for him. Yeah. If that cap room if you believe that cap space gets you JC Tretter, and you know he's going to sign with you, JC Tretter makes this team better than Danielle makes this team.
Sure.
But yeah, they have made a couple signs though. Like you said, you mentioned Schlotman. One person that they did pick up was Harrison Phillips. He's defensive tackle. Going to fill in that Michael Pierce role.
Yep. He also can do. He's probably a little bit better of a pass rusher. Apparently, they said that he can do kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yep.
He can move people very easily, and he's been Walter Payton Man of the Year last 2 seasons.
So did you listen to his welcome interview?
I did. I listened to the few clips that were on Twitter.
Okay.
So yeah, 3 clips. So.
I listened to, I think, the whole thing while I was doing dishes today. Put a headphone in, listened to it. He sounds super smart.
Yeah, I picked up on that too.
Yeah, like he was very X's and O's talk, which makes sense based on the new direction of the team. Everything seemed to be very just straightforward. He wasn't very exciting. I mean, it's not like he was this entertaining guy,
right?
But he definitely seemed like a Ziggy Wolf pick. He seemed like a good fit for the team. It sounds like he's gonna be a good fit, and he actually plays. He's not going to sit out the whole year, and then he's not going to get injured after sitting out. So yeah, I think this was a good signing. And when I listened to him talk today, I wasn't sure about it right away because I knew of him, but I didn't know much about him. As I listened to him today, he sold me on him.
Apparently Bills fans loved him too.
And that's another thing is when the fans are sad to see you go, it's usually a good sign. Right. So yeah, I'm glad we got a guy like that. Another guy that we got who the fans again were sad, but obviously they weren't disappointed because they need money to give Kyler $50 million. Jordan Hicks is another player the Vikings signed. Sounds like he's going to play outside linebacker for us, which is the natural 3-4 position he's played in every other place he's been. And you put down a fun stat here.
Yeah. So KO or Kevin Cock was talking about him.
Yeah.
He said that there's four players last year that had over 100 tackles and 4 interceptions, and the Vikings now have 2 of them because it was Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks. So,
do you know the other 2 off the top of your head?
I do not.
Okay,
I'd assume probably like Darius Leonard, maybe. That seems like somewhere.
Fred Warner, Darius. It's like
yeah. So
you would assume it's those guys, but you also never would have thought Jordan Hicks.
Yeah. So. But
that's cool. I like that stat. That just means
he also said
he can drop into coverage, which is our issue right now. Is we don't have good coverage linebackers.
Yeah,
Kendricks is the only
Kendricks, one. Yeah, but he said that Kendricks was one of the main reasons that he wanted to come here too. He said that was a huge thing in my decision making. He's like, I've been tracking him ever since we've came into the league, and it'd be awesome to play with.
Dude, who wouldn't like we said, Kendricks, like his big issues is where he was going to struggle in a 3-4, and yet he's good enough where he's going to make it work.
Yeah.
Other players love him. If this means if we can re-sign Barr because he's a perfect fit, if we can have Hicks, Barr, Kendricks, and
Vigil too, even Vigil as like a backup.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Vigil play more of a I don't know. He doesn't really fit this team anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, he could depth-wise,
right. Yeah, he's one of those. Like I said, everybody on our front 7 are people I question now because of moving to the 3-4. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Vigil is also one of those guys. Maybe he'll be able to just figure it out right away. Yeah, our linebackers have always been built for 4-3, and so I'm so scared. The 3-4, I'm so scared because some of these guys have to learn to play basically defensive end now, and some of these guys have to learn how to play coverage when they've never had to, when they've just been run stoppers. Zimmer always thought linebackers were meant to stop the run, so I'm scared. This team makes me nervous. I love 3-4 better than 4-3. It opens up the ability for your team to do so much more. But oh my gosh! And also they said we're gonna do hybrid.
Yeah, we're gonna be a little weird, a little different. It's not necessarily gonna be 3-4 all the time.
I am jacked to see our 2-4-5 because Donatel said we're going to be doing
have 5 to put back there though.
He said we're going to be doing a 2-4 the hybrid front, and a lot of passing down hybrid fronts do the 2-4-5 where they have 2 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and then 5 D-backs, which a lot of the time one of those D-backs is a sub linebacker, another one is a sub safety, and then all the rest are like the traditional ones. But a lot of the time you take up the slot corner and you put in a slot safety and a linebacker, and then you have 2 corners. It's just I love the idea of that set. and I want to see who we put out there, because I think Eric Kendricks in that set is going to be lethal.
Yeah.
It's just, can we get him into a 3rd and long regularly where we can run that set is the issue.
You got some ball hawks back there too. Both Harry and Bynum have shown that they can ball hawk too.
Right.
So.
And Dantzler's kind of like a Diggs, where he's either giving up a touchdown or pass.
Dantzler's the only semi-serviceable corner we have on the roster. So
yes. Well, I mean, we've Jeff Gladney. Oh, never mind. He's elsewhere.
Yeah, but hey, innocent doesn't mean not guilty.
Innocent doesn't mean not guilty, or not guilty doesn't mean innocent.
Yeah.
And also, if you were really upset about Dantzler getting signed with the Cardinals, you better not let me go look at your old tweets of claiming you need to cut Gladney. You better not let me go look at your old tweets and see Gladney. Oh, he needs to be gone. He's a assaulter. He's a beater. You better not have claimed you needed him cut immediately then.
Those are the same people that want Deshaun.
Well, and that's like, I'm fine if you wanted Gladney, but you also needed to, if you wanted to stick by Gladney, you needed to keep him on your roster and lose a roster spot the whole year. Like, if you truly wanted to keep Gladney.
Sure. Like the NFL exempt list until he's...
Right. Yep. It would show the integrity of your team to say, like, we'll see until the legal system, but that's just not. NFL teams just move on immediately. That's just standard practice now. Not saying we agree with it, but a couple other players that they've done, a couple other things they've done. They restructured. Speaking, you mentioned Harry being a ball hawk. They restructured his contract.
Yeah, he saved about $6 million on the cap. I don't know if it was a void year to give him. I think it was a void year to give him kind of some dead money at the end.
It was originally reported that Adam Thielen wasn't going to restructure, that he was refusing one, and he ended up restructuring.
Yeah.
That was big. But then the biggest contract news is Kirk Cousins got a 1-year extension, fully guaranteed or mostly guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed.
Instead of being 45 this year, it's 31, 35, and then there's 12 or 6 in dead money the next 2 years after of the void years.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
You weren't going to get anything back in return. Like, for the people that wanted Kirk gone, if you want Kirk gone, you should have gone into a full rebuild mode.
Yeah.
This team needs a good quarterback behind the helmet, and he's in the top 10 stat everywhere on the field. He's a top 10 statistically.
Like, since joining the Vikings, he's like 7th and 8th in all the quarterback stats. So and you can argue he's the 3rd best Vikings quarterback in history. Yeah.
We talked about it last week or the week before. I can't remember which one, but we went through all the stats of the old Vikings quarterbacks.
Right.
And like, Fran Tarkenton is still statistically like the best quarterback they've ever had. But Kirk Cousins is up there. You can say he's 2, 3. Like, when they were on the Vikings, obviously Randall Cunningham as a career might be better, but like, when they were on the Vikings, Kirk Cousins he has better stats than Dante Culpepper. Culpepper wouldn't be good without Moss. The people that want Kirk gone, I get it. I've said it before. When you watch the eye test, if I'm on the defense and if there's a 2-minute drill, I'm on defense and I see Kirk Cousins as the quarterback, I'm not scared. That's not a good thing. Like, I've said it before. I'll say it over and over until Kirk can prove to me that I should be scared. Every time that there's a 2-minute drill, I think the Vikings are losing, because I don't think Kirk's getting a touchdown. I just don't have high faith in him. I think the rest of the game, he's great. But I will take Kirk over Christian Ponder, Sage Rosenfeld, Kyle Sloter, John David Booty, Brooks Bollinger, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater. Do you really Tavares Jackson, rest in peace. Like, all these guys are Joe Webb. These guys are trash.
Yeah, the last time the Vikings had a competent quarterback was 2009 Brett Favre, and before then, you couldn't tell me.
Yep,
you couldn't tell me someone better than Kirk.
Right? Nope. Before Brett Favre,
2009 Brett Favre, not
before 2009 Brett Favre. Like,
you couldn't tell me.
Dante Culpepper, Brad Johnson. Even then, they're not better than Kirk.
Josh Freeman.
Right. These guys are Donovan McNabb. Ooh. Oh man, these guys are garbage, and you're telling me you'd rather go back to those years, the 3-14 now. We'd be 3-14 regularly.
There also last year, the fact that the Vikings went 7-9, 8-9, something like that. We wouldn't have won probably 6 of those games if not for Kirk.
Yep.
Like Kirk was playing really good. He'd lead us down there. Dalvin Cook fumble, missed kick. Defense
can't do jack.
Defense blowing the lead.
I get it. There's always an excuse for Kirk. All right, go give any of these top 5 quarterbacks a 29th ranked defense and see how they do.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys might do well. They might make it. They're not winning the Super Bowl. They might make it. They might even do so good they make it to the Super Bowl. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
Absolutely not.
Because what was it? It was the year that Mahomes lost in the Super Bowl. Was the last time a bottom 20 defense had even made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And they still lost with Mahomes.
Yeah. And it's not going to be hard to do better than 29, but like you got to
I know people hate Kirk. I get it. They don't like him. He's not this flashy mobile dude. He's like a standard pocket guy.
Super nice.
Yeah. He's like Phillip Rivers without the fire.
Yeah.
I get it. He is better than anything. Like I'm always told by all these like old school business guys, when you have a problem with your boss, you come to them with solutions, not problems. You got a problem with Kirk? Come to me with 5 players that are better than him. That you know. 5 players that you know.
Yeah. You want to trade for Deshaun Watson? All right, tell me how you're fixing the defense because you give up all your draft capital. Tell me how you're fixing the offensive line.
Yes. Tell me you want Deshaun. What else are you doing to the team to improve? Or do you 100% believe Deshaun comes to this team, all of a sudden they're on a Super Bowl? Deshaun takes a 29th ranked, a 31st ranked defense to the Super Bowl. He couldn't do that when he was on the Texans and they had a 30th ranked defense. He went 30-13.
Yeah, and I believe the offensive line. Their offensive
line
was just as bad as ours. So I don't know.
He went 3-13 with a bad offensive line and bad defense. But that's Deshaun Watson. He's going to win it no matter what. No, bring me 5 quarterbacks that would improve this team. And then when you tell me those, I'll make sure you have the solution on how you fix the rest of the team then. If you don't have that, then you're sticking with Kirk.
Justin Jefferson being a top 5 wide receiver does not happen without Kirk.
Agreed. Kirk has an amazing deep ball. Justin Jefferson excels at the deep ball. Justin Jefferson with Case Keenum becomes a route runner. Becomes like Laquan Treadwell. He's an incredible wide receiver.
Laquan Treadwell caught his first touchdown from Kirk. Just saying.
I'm surprised he caught something.
He did, yeah. He's a great blocker.
But anyway, we can get off our Kirk high horse. People know how we feel about Kirk at this point. Even though I'm not the biggest fan, I can acknowledge that there are no better options for the Vikings right now. Another big signing that they signed was Schlottman. He is a center/guard. He's only played 7 games. He has not done well statistically. Sounds like they are signing him to compete with the center position and compete with Davis for the guard.
There's also a center position that we're bringing over from the Bills we're meeting with, I believe.
Okay.
They have the right, the Bills did tender him, so he has the right to first refusal or whatever, so like they can match an offer if he gets one from us.
Sure.
But apparently he's like a backup center as well, backup center guard that played for the Bills.
Okay.
So another possible position.
That'd be cool.
And for the people that's Schlottman did not do well.
He's not.
Mason Cole's stats weren't that great for Arizona, but then Mason Cole obviously was our best center last year. So
right.
I think Mason Cole got a 3-year deal somewhere else.
Well, with Conklin gone, we can move Bradbury to tight end now.
I don't know if I'll pay $13 million for a tight end.
And then another player that they signed was Johnny Munt, who's a tight end. They actually signed Munt before Conklin was signed, so I took that as they knew Conklin was signing elsewhere.
Yeah,
Jets Conk. He is... Yeah. It's sad to see him go. He was one of the fan favorites, but it's one of those guys like Jets, you're getting somebody good because people are sad to see him leave.
Yeah.
Sounds like they want to test Irv. It sounds like Kevin O'Connell wants to test Irv Smith, that he's going to throw everything he can at Irv. And then if Irv doesn't do well this year, they're going to let him go.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're going to heavily go at him.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's what we expected.
We've been begging for it. We've been begging, like, even if it doesn't go well, please just try her out.
He's a mismatch on the tight end position. He really is. So
he's OJ Howard.
Yeah.
He's a more athletic OJ Howard.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
I'm not sure what else the Vikings are planning on doing. I think that Bills center sounds.
They're gonna make a decision on Danielle by Sunday.
Figure out Danielle, and if you can, figure out if that ends up opening JC Tretter. Great. If it doesn't, try to keep him. Re-sign Barr if you can. Otherwise, start preparing for that draft and hope trade up in this draft. This is one of those drafts. Get as many 3rd and 4th round picks as you possibly can. 5th, 6th, and 7th. It's fine if you have no picks. 1st round, if you're not going to have a 1st round pick, make sure you have multiple seconds. Like, this is just one of those drafts that if you can load up in that center, the value is going to be huge. It's just going to be so. And if you don't do that, use some of those picks and move up into the top 10.
Yeah, you're 12 right now.
Yep. Take a couple of those, move into the top 10. I'm ready. Make a move. If you're not going to sign free agents, if you're going to play the offseason the same way Spielman played the offseason, at least play the draft different. Please don't trade down in the 1st and get 6, 7th. Please don't. Yeah. You will see fans immediately call for your job if you do that.
They don't have a 4th, I think. I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 6, 6, 7 or something like that.
That would be move both 6th and the 7th. Get a 4th. Take a 5 and a 4th and move on into another 2nd. Like, move up and cluster those middle picks.
I want to say it's because we have 8 picks. It's 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 6, 6, 7. That's what I want to say.
You could get rid of 5, 6, 6, and 7 and move up, try to get like 2 more 3rds if you can possibly do that. And then you could either move up or take 5, 6, 6, 7, and 12 and jump into the do something. Please do something.
Trade Bradbury.
Yeah, anytime the team asks for a trade, ask if you can throw in Bradbury. Like,
or don't even ask. Just throw in Bradbury.
Right, like slide it into the contract language without them noticing. And then the team be like, what the hell? We got Bradbury? Yeah. He's also like our 5th highest paid player on our team.
Yeah.
If you're talking about players overpaid for their production, number 1 is Bradbury.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't pick up his 5th year, but his 5th year would have been $13 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy. No thanks.
But that's all we got. Any other sports nuggets you got out there?
Baseball's back. Twins are doing things. I don't know any of the players.
Tatis showed up to spring training with a broken wrist, so he's out for a while.
Joe Ryan shaved his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Twins are potentially going to make the biggest free agent signing in team history.
Yeah.
Going after that shortstop.
Sonny Gray or something like that?
No, they're going after
Tyler something. They got some pitcher named Sonny Gray. They traded one of their prospects for a Sonny Gray.
There's some big shortstop. Trevor Story,
yeah.
The
no
Twins,
idea who that is.
He has narrowed it down to 2 teams, and one of those teams is the Twins, and he's a shortstop. Apparently, the Twins are up there. If they make that move, great. Yeah,
they got a starting pitcher, a great starting pitcher, is Sonny Gray. They got Joe Ryan, who's the greatest pitcher in baseball. So, I don't know. Yeah, they can't be worse than last year. So,
one of the team. The reason that Trevor Story said no to one of the teams is because they wanted him to move to second base, and he will not play shortstop.
Yeah.
The Twins are one of those teams that need a shortstop.
They did draft a guy, number 1 overall, a couple years ago that does play shortstop. He's been in the minor league a while. He's going to be up this year. But I think he has the versatility to play second. So
move him to second. Apparently they want to get rid of Donaldson.
They did.
Or they got rid of Donaldson.
They traded him to the Yankees.
So, I mean,
it's crazy. It's crazy. They gave him like a 4-year, $96 million deal, but it was during the MLB season that was shortened. So everything seemed like crazy. And we had him for 2 years, and apparently we only paid him a total of $30 million because the season was shortened.
Yeah, so he had over $50 million left on his deal.
Yeah. So
that's why they wanted to move him, because he had over 50 still. That's sports. Thanks everybody for stopping by. See you for episode 40 next week. Episode 40.
Our podcast is so old.
We're so old. You all look great today. GG.
GG.